Oh James, I'm so lucky I met you. Let's take down Goldfinger together. Just what I was thinking, Miss Marston, though maybe I should remain here while you check to see if we are being watched. I wouldn't want you to be turned to gold by Goldfinger when I'm not looking. All right, so you keep an eye out, sir, for any all right, so you keep an eye out, sir, for Goldfinger. I won't be long. James, no. He was willing to give his life for me.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch.
Goldfinger. Whoa, I'm flesh again. I'm not gold. I can review this movie. Goldfinger, first James Bond installment not to be directed by Terence Young but by Guy Hamilton this time, and is the third James Bond movie, as well as the third Sean Connery James Bond movie. So, Goldfinger tells the story taking place after the events of From Russia with Love, in which Bond is investigating this mysterious businessman and owner of this gold ring, Auric Goldfinger. The movie's title antagonist. Bond soon discovers that Goldfinger is the devil in disguise and is plotting to assault Fort Knox gold supply. Goldfinger is golden. This is top tier Bond and a true landmark for the James Bond franchise, and is no doubt my second favourite Sean Connery Bond movie, behind only Dr. No. And what makes Goldfinger a must-see Bond movie for me is how it goes back to the successful roots of Dr. No, of a Bond versus a villain story. This is the second Bond film to have the antagonist's name in the title, and Auric Goldfinger himself, he is one of the top five most stellar villains of the series. He with his ability to turn anybody who gets in his way to gold, literally, and he always strikes whenever our characters are least anticipating, and physically he looks brutish, like the Kingpin. He's literally the Bond version of the Kingpin, and he even dresses casually, so nobody would even think of calling him out as the villain. And in the moment when he's playing a golfer with Bond, your blood runs cold in that scene, and any time Bond is interacting with Goldfinger, as you have no idea what he's going to do or what his next move is going to be. And Sean Connery gives his final perfect performance as Bond. He's at his most physically active in this movie in his prime, and he flirts with more Bond girls than ever. And Bond is facing such a sinister adversary throughout this movie that you feel like in this movie he could be walking to his grave. And the title sequence is one of the most glorious in the franchise. It makes up for the disappointing first attempted title sequence in From Russia with Love, which was just of the belly dancer, but we didn't get Matt Monroe's theme song until the end credits. Whereas this time round we get Shirley Baston's classic theme song, Goldfinger, in the title sequence with the Golden Lady, and I freaking adore that song with all my heart. So that is the most delicious cherry on top of the Sean Connery Bond theme songs. And Guy Hamilton got lucky directing this movie for his first Bond movie. When he touched it, it's a turn to gold, and he does ever so brilliantly, following up Terence Young, continuing the franchise. And the final battle of this movie at the time was the most ambitious final fight ever staged in a Bond movie. The plane fights are between a Bond and a Goldfinger, and it's pure excitement, that finale. And Goldfinger's death is permanent when he's sucked out of the plane window, as he's the one great classic Bond villain to never return for the Daniel Craig era. Goldfinger for me is the founding bones of the common Bond formula, even more so than From Russia with Love. Though I do think this movie is lacking one thing that makes it the perfect recipe for a Bond film. And this is the first time I'm going to bring this up in my Bond reviews. This is the first Bond movie to make the Dick to the Bond girls list, in which something bad happens to the female characters in a Bond movie. And Jill Marston is the first Bond girl in the movie, played by the always stunning Shirley Basin. When in her introduction, when she is sunbathing in her bikini, and Bond is literally he's leaning right over her to get a closer look at what Goldfinger is up to, and she is okay with that. So she's so comfortable with him getting that close, and when they are about to sleep together, we all know that when Bond isn't looking, Goldfinger strikes, and she is turned to gold. Now, sure, this is one of the most iconic shots of the movie, but still, I think it's a undeserved resolution for a character so sweet and innocent as Jill. I wanted her to survive the movie and stick around for far longer with Bond. There should have been an antidote in the movie for the victims of Goldfinger to be revived from that and turn back to normal. That's what I would have done if I was the screenwriter, and also if I was Bond in that scene, I would rather I was turned to gold than her. And if you think Jill is entirely wasted in this movie, just wait until you see what the movie does to her poor sister. The moment her sister finds out that what's happened to Jill, shortly after that she's out of the movie. So the movie should have made the characters of Jill and her sister far more relevant to its narrative. The movie does answer our prayers and give us a timeless Bond girl, Pussy Galore. She was originally going to be called Kissy Galore. She is Goldfinger's personal pilot and the leader of this super awesome all-female team of pilots known as Pussy Galore's Flying Circus. And Pussy is the first Bond girl in this franchise to start out working for the villain, but so Bond needs to do all he can to seduce her to the good side, and they and these two have such a spunk together, especially in that flirtatious fight scene in the barn, uh, and uh, and I and after Prissy and Bond successfully escape the crashing plane in the final scene, they then make out under the parachute. So uh, so thank you, Goldfinger. You at least gave us one strong Bond girl. So overall, Goldfinger is one of the highest highs for not just the Sean Connery era, but for the James Bond franchise as a whole. And this would be the final great Sean Connery Bond movie.
I give Goldfinger 5 stars out of 5. Best movie ever.
Also, happy International Women's Day 2020. Today we celebrate all the strong and inspirational women in this world. Though sadly, the same cannot be said about the following Sean Connery Bond movies after Goldfinger, as after this movie, his era would gradually go downhill. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And what are your thoughts on Goldfinger? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'll see you next time when I review the newest horror remake, The Invisible Man. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.